Hello, Trinity folks. This is Pastor Grenz with a Theology in Three. I am using these Theology in Three videos each week as a recap of our sermon series to crystallize in our minds the ideas that I am sharing, but also to share them with folks that are not in worship over the weekend. Now, in our Overflow series, we began our look at how God fills us up by looking at our worship. What happens when we come together to worship God for who He is and what He's done? Now, most of the time we think that worship is all about what we do, our thanks, our praise, our song, our gifts. Really, worship is 100% about God and what He does, the gifts He gives to us. We then respond with thanks and praise, service and obedience. We respond to what God has done in giving us Christ and His forgiveness. That idea is why we Lutherans call our worship services divine service. It's about what God does, first and foremost, and ours is always a response. Because God, therefore we. That is one of the points I made in my sermon this weekend. I also then shared a number that a couple of people have taken a little bit of an issue with. 3 out of 4 weekends a month, I want you in worship. Now, why did I say that? Because I want you to drop an envelope? No, because I want you to be filled up with the Word of God. You are an important part of our ministry here at Trinity. You are the one that takes the gospel into the community. Not just me, not just the staff here, not just our teachers in our school, but rather every single person that's a part of Trinity. So if that number is too much, if that number is something that you're like, oh my goodness, 3 out of 4 weekends a month, what am I going to do with the rest of my weekend? Please remember, don't get hung up on the number. Get hung up on the reason. The reason is because you need God's grace. You need to be filled up with His blessings and His love. You need it to live in a sinful, fallen world and to be filled up so that you can overflow into the lives of others. So if 3 out of 4 weeks is too much for you, then come one more week than you already do. But we'll get you to 3 weeks. That's the idea. We want you to be in worship as often as possible so that God can work in what you're doing. I also want to point out that you and I need worship. We need the Word of God, His forgiveness, His grace, all of that, because we live in a sinful, fallen world. The wonderful Luther quote that I shared with you from the Large Catechism's explanation of the third commandment is incredibly wonderful and an important thing. Remember, you are under attack by the devil all the time. And the only thing that can stop the devil is the Word of God. When it is in your heart, when it is in your mind, when it is on your lips, when it is in your ears, that is when you are protected from the devil's attacks. The Word of God does that for you. You need that in incredible and wonderful ways. In the same way, though, you want to see God work in your life, you want to see what God does, the Word of God is the fuel for that. And it always accomplishes the purpose that God sends it forth. So, please, as you're working and as you're looking at this, come to worship as often as you possibly can. 3 out of 4 weekends a month is a bare minimum. Please be a part of what we're doing. I realized this weekend I was preaching to the crowd. Everybody was already there. To those of you that have not been in worship recently, let me know why. Please email me, give me a call, give me a text. Give me some reason why you haven't been in worship. I'd love to hear from you, especially if there's some kind of issue that's keeping you from being in worship. But if it's just priorities, please understand, Christ is the greatest thing in our lives. Christ has come that we might have life, and Christ wants us to overflow. Blessings to you all. We'll see you in Bible study and at worship.